In this episode, we get to talk with BK Moody, who is not only a safety expert with TxDOT, he also works in the monster truck circuit and has a fascinating story about another aspect of transportation. So we're very excited to have him with us today. We do want to acknowledge that Trish and I have been experimenting a little bit with how we record our interviews. So you may notice a few different things in this interview. Regardless, the information is great, and we think you'll enjoy a talk with BK.
Yeah. I get to travel all over the United States and as a motorsport event announcer specializing in monster trucks. I do monster trucks. I do off-road parts. I do bumper-to-bumper big truck tug of war. I do bounty holes. I do dirt track. And I do, one of the coolest things that I think I get to do is I get to go to Lufkin, Texas in October every year, and I announce semi-truck drag racing.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes.
I think we have a picture of that too that
yes,
we can put
ma'am.
up on the screen.
Yes, ma'am.
For those that are watching, not just listening. I've taken trainings with you.
Yes, that's a very important class for me because of the keys. The Smith system has 5 keys that they try to use to make you a better offensive driver in collision avoidance. Unfortunately, I've lost numerous family members as well as friends in automobile accidents. So I take that very serious. And when I had the opportunity to start teaching it at our Stastny headquarters here in Austin, I jumped at the opportunity. So that's where we met.
Yeah, and I don't know if any of you are familiar with Smith system curriculum specifically. No offense to anyone, but it is so boring. And he makes it fun. Really, they do like Space Invaders, and you never know what you're going to learn in Smith system with BK and the safety team at TxDOT. It's a blast. So he's a master level instructor through the instructor certification program. Also,
yes, ma'am.
About to be a master level OSHA instructor.
Yes, ma'am. Right? Working on my master certification through OSHA, taking classes right now for that. If I don't hit any hurdles, no bumps in the road, on June the 11th, I will attain that master certification.
I can't wait to celebrate with you.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. And also, through what used to be the instructor certification program that you were speaking of, I am now, that has became the TxDOT Training and Development Community of Practice, and I am their vice chairman. So
wonderful.
Got a lot of different hats.
Yeah, I mean, I know you do. You used to be a volunteer firefighter, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You still are. You're a preacher.
I pastor a little small country church called Brookston Bible Community Church in Brookston, Texas. February 5th will actually be 9 years that I've been the pastor out there. So it's been pretty awesome.
That's awesome.
Yes, ma'am.
So we are really excited to have BK here and have him share about how all of these different things that you're doing informs one another, right?
Yes, ma'am. And, I'm very passionate about safety. I've been tied to safety pretty much my entire adult life. From the time I started serving in the United States Navy at the age of 17, graduated high school at 16, went straight into the military and got put into safety. And, man, I just fell in love with it. So every job I've had, I've been tied to safety. But people get tickled when they meet me at these motorsport events, and we're doing monster trucks and, like I said, the semi-truck drag racing and the mud racing and tractor pulls, and they're like, "Well, what do you do for a living?" And I tell them I'm a safety specialist, and they always laugh, and I said, "Look, you got to have a good balance in life, so it's safety all week. Kind of go crazy on Saturdays." And then unless it's just absolutely impossible, it sometimes sacrifice sleep. I have woken up in Syracuse, New York on Sunday morning and was at church ready to preach it at 11 o'clock on Sunday. So
what drew you to safety? You said you were in the Navy and they put you in a safety role?
Yeah, I was put in charge of, it started out as what they call berthing safety, which is where we live, a lot of electrical stuff. If you brought anything on electrical, so even let's just say a fan, you brought a fan on. I had to verify that the cord was in good shape, that there was no frays, no bare wires, any of those things. And that's kind of how it started. And kind of tell off on my age a little bit, Discmen were just becoming popular. Remember with the CD?
Oh, yeah. I was so excited when I got one of those for Christmas.
Yeah. So even like the headphones, because, there was no such thing as a wireless headphone back then. I had to always make sure that everything was electrically safe. And then it just kind of grew, and I did some shipboard firefighting training, and then I did some EMT training while I was in the military. So, and it just kind of grew from there. But it was an unfortunate event, and a young man lost his life, and that really grabbed my attention. We went through Lockout, Tagout training to where you completely shut down and de-energize a piece of equipment before you work on it. Well, if you and I are going to work on this piece of equipment, each of us have a lock of our own and a tag that says, hey, do not operate, and it's got our names. With this young man, we were doing a thing, it's called firesides. And basically what it is, we were on a conventional aircraft carrier, and carbon builds up, right? Anytime you got a fire, there's carbon. So what we were doing, there's a team of us went into this burner that was shut down, and this young man went in first and did not put a tag on it. Well, as you come out, you take your tag off. Well, when the burner man saw that all the tags were off, he shuts the burner front and ignites it. And instantly, this young man at the age of 19 lost his life. Unfortunately, and that he and I had kind of become, pretty good friends. Of course, we worked together. We lived in the same berthing on board the ship. But just knowing that had somebody slowed down and verified instead, it's like everything else in the world, especially back in this was in 1994. Safety wasn't as big of an issue anywhere in the world, really. So we didn't take the extra steps and the extra precautions to verify that everyone was indeed out. Once that last tag was pulled, burner front was shut, and they lit it before, and I could only imagine he was all the way at the top, and I figured he was on his way down, because that's what we did. You just got the various levels, and you clean the carbon, and it just comes to the bottom, and we cleaned it out that way. But so lockout tagout is a very, very big issue with me, and as a matter of fact, I'm currently working on revamping the lockout tagout program here at the department. But that's kind of what the first thing that drew me to safety.
Well, I'm so sorry that you had to go through that, but I am thankful for what you have done with it.
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
Like that lesson has really informed what you've done, and I know you've made an impact on my life. When my daughter was learning to drive, after going through your Smith system, I taught her all of the same things that we learned in class.
That makes me feel good that other people are seeing the value in it too, and passing on. I taught my 3 teenage girls how to drive, and they all went through Smith systems. Now my wife, she's a different story now. She tells me all the time, look, I tell her, I said, I'm a professional driver. And she'll let me know, you may be professional at TechStop, but I'm not in your class. So, but yeah, there's a lot of very valuable things that we can learn from Smith Systems, and I'm glad that you're passing that on to your daughter. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
100%. If there's anything we can do to make anyone else safer on the road,
absolutely.
Right? Like especially our kids.
Yeah, yeah, because it's nerve-wracking, and that's another push that we can all get behind, especially with our children, is ensuring that they wear their safety belts in the vehicles.
I think that's so important. When I grew up, so when I was little, back in the 60s, my mom tells stories about taking me home in the hospital and just sitting on her lap, right? And nobody in the car wore seatbelts. And now I don't feel like I'm in the car until I have the seatbelt clicked. So it's like, how do we help people just have that be part of the habit of you turn the car on and the seatbelt's already already in place so that we can reduce the possibility of, severe injury even more.
Absolutely. And, it's important in vehicles and in equipment. That's, I recently updated the forklift safety training for TxDOT. And in my presentation, I've got some statistics. And statistics show that 35% of all fatalities involving forklifts are with the operator turning the machine over and trying to jump. Well, you can't jump unless you have no seatbelt, right?
What does that mean?
When they go to turn the forklift over, they go to jump off of it, and the forklift lands on them.
Oh my God!
And other equipment is exactly the same. Any of our roadway equipment that our men and women operate, daily, and to get kind of share the importance of that with these students in the class, I let them know when we go out to do our hands-on observation, once they get on that forklift, that if they crank the forklift before they've got their seatbelt on, they fail the class. Wow. Because it's that important. I want to make sure that when someone walks away from one of my classes, that they understand all the safety aspects that we're talking about. And seatbelts, again, hey, I remember, just like you were saying, I remember as a kid, my grandma had a 1971 Buick Regal, those big land yachts. You remember those?
Yeah.
And it had that great big area in the back window. And, you hear a lot of comedians talk about it now, but hey, that's how we did. Us kids would fight over who got to lay up there in the back window. And if Grandpa ever had to brake check us, off in the floorboard you'd go.
Yep.
And usually whoever wasn't in the back window was laying down in the back seat. Mm-hmm. No seat belts.
That's I remember our car having seat belts in the back.
I don't know if we did. If they did, I think our parents shoved them
right,
down.
Yeah, they were like down in the seat, so I never
Yes, ma'am.
Old Plymouth.
Right, yes, ma'am.
Like, I don't think it had seat belts. Like,
well, and for, like, I remember my first pickup that I ever owned was a 1973 Ford half-ton pickup, and all it had was the lap belt.
Well,
it didn't have the shoulder.
Get in the back of the truck, like me and all the cousins, we ride in the back.
Absolutely,
like, it was fun.
Yeah, we never thought about the inherent dangers of it.
No, and there were like tigers back there with us, and God knows what else.
Oh, your dad's chains. Yeah.
We'd sit with the tailgate down, and we'd sit on the tailgate with our legs hanging over the end of the truck.
Your feet. Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Or I lived out in the country too, and whatever we could find and then tie to a rope to pull around in the snow.
For us, it was always like an old hood.
Yeah, like an old car hood.
Yes, absolutely.
Whatever it was.
Right.
So now you're in safety.
Yeah, like I said, you got to keep a good balance. It can't be all safety all the time.
Well, and you live and learn. Like, we didn't know. When you know better, you do better.
Absolutely.
Back then, people weren't talking about safety the way they are now.
You're right.
I don't remember any safety organizations or even in school. Like, we had tornado drills because I was in Oklahoma.
Right. Yep. Yeah, and see, I'm in Northeast Texas, so
yeah.
I had the same ones. And if you remember, how did those go? Everybody went out into the hallway, and you put a book over your head.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I don't know. I guess.
Mandy, you grew up where in Alaska?
Yeah, so I was in Colorado for the first 10 years, and then moved to Alaska. And, we had earthquakes, but we didn't do earthquake drills. They were just kind of like, if there's an earthquake, what do you do? And we're like, you get under a table or, get in a doorway. And that was it. They would maybe mention it once or twice a year, and that was about it. So that was our safety. We were more interested in what do you do when a bear shows up in the playground, and that was more likely than an earthquake. Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah, we don't have those around here, but we don't have them in Oklahoma. So
well, they're making a comeback. Black bears are making a comeback in Oklahoma and Arkansas, Louisiana, and East Texas. Yes.
We had coyotes.
Oh yeah, we got a bunch of those.
There's a mountain lion out there somewhere that everyone can talk about. Be careful.
Yeah.
But safety today is a very different world.
Yes, it is.
And thankfully.
And I've been with the department for 11 and a half years, and I've, in that short amount of time, I've seen safety change
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I first started, there was a real big, back then, our director was Gerald Wire, and there was a great big push on safety. And then when he retired and Sam Salazar took over, it just continued to grow. And so now safety's at the forefront of everything we do here at the department. And I think it's completely changed the entire culture.
Yeah.
It's changed the mindset of people. You know, a lot of times you'll see people, especially out in the field, and they'll go to do something, and all of a sudden they stop and they go back, and maybe it's, hey, I forgot to grab my hard hat out of the crew truck, or maybe I don't have my safety glasses on, or whatever the case may be. So it's making an impact on everyone, because you can see that they're putting these safety protocols and these safety policies, they're putting them into play out there in the field.
Yeah.
Makes a huge difference.
I think so too. Yeah.
And you know, a lot of people dislike stretch and flex. You know, in 2011, the department adopted that.
I mean, I don't know if everybody knows what stretch and flex is at TechStop,
well,
because there's not all TechStop.
Yeah, because
will you tell us?
You're right, and a lot of the remote, I know you're a remote worker, so maybe some of you weren't even shown. But what it is, depending upon whether you're a field employee or whether you're an office employee, we got together with the kinesiology department at University of Texas in 2011, and they came up with stretches to kind of get your joints and your muscles and everything limbered up, ready to go to work. So we've got 12 exercises if you're an office employee, or when I started 11 and a half years ago, I was a construction inspector out in the field. So our stretches were different than y'all's, but each group, whether you're a field employee or office employee, has 12 exercises that they're doing. It's called stretch and flex. And like we always did it as a work group. When I'm in Austin, we get together at 8:45. We get a reminder at 9 o'clock. We come together as a group and we do stretch and flex. And it's you know, office, you got to worry about carpal tunnel and you know, muscle cramps and circulation issues. You know, and we talk about those things while we're doing stretch and flex. Hey, why is it important to stand up for 10 to 15 minutes every 45 minutes? You know, for that circulation issue, and that so that you don't wind up with blood clots or any other kind of thing. So, but it's a neat thing that just something else that TxDOT has offered to help keep us safe. But one of the cool things is our injuries have decreased exponentially since we started the stretch and flex program.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That'd be some interesting data to see.
Absolutely.
I mean, I know it's helped me every day, and we have this set aside time where each division picks a different time for the whole division or department to do stretches every day. So it's a protected time, and it really does make an impact, whether it's on your back or on your arms. And so that would be fascinating to see that decrease.
You bet. And we've actually got that data compiled to where our injuries were, let's say in 2010, before we implemented in 11, and then where we're at today. Yeah. But you know, and that's something that's an aspect of safety that I never really thought of until I came to work in the department, was ergonomics. Yeah. You know, that didn't ring a bell to me. Right. But now I see the importance after coming and sitting at a desk, doing research and writing, training and stuff. Now TxDOT has those stations at Stastny. Paris District just got a brand new headquarters. Our desks there are the electric sit stand. Cool. I've got a manual one now at my house, in my office, because I saw the value of it. So we purchased one for my home office. And then the ergonomic floor mats, you know, and those are parts of safety that a lot of people, including myself, never considered. But man, there's a lot to it. Yeah. And it's got a lot of great benefits.
As we get older too, right?
Oh my goodness, yeah. We're not going to talk about that though right now, okay? Yeah. Let's not talk about age.
So your work with safety at TxDOT, in the military, how does that inform, or does it have any impact on your fun announcing?
Yes. So I've got these pretty cool sunshades. So when I'm out in in the real world, if you will. I put these on and I don't look at anything safety related because everything I do would make a typical safety person cringe.
Yeah.
I mean, think about a monster truck, 12,000 pounds, flying through the air, crushing cars. Had a couple of pretty crazy events happen, when a monster truck lands and the wheel comes off. It's full of energy, and it will go a long ways and do a whole lot of damage when it hits whatever it hits to stop.
Right.
I've seen monster trucks catch on fire while they're running, so it would make a safety man cringe. But the thing is, on the real side of that is, a lot of those trucks have fire suppression systems, and I've got to witness those things, how they work. Safety is huge in that industry. A lot of the trucks have fuel shutoffs. If one turns over, a lot of times, especially if you see them on TV or even if you're in person, you'll see there's one designated person on that floor that individual's job is, in the event that one turns over, they run straight to the fuel shutoff at the back of the truck, and you'll see them. It'll just be, and they'll push it in and turn it, and it kills all the fuel to the entire truck. They have fire retardant suits, which, of course, anything that they're fire retardant, not fireproof.
Right.
Their shoes, their race shoes, are fire retardant. The neck braces that they wear, and some of them actually wear, I call it a halo, and that may not be the right term, but it's a deal that actually sits down over their shoulders that their helmet is connected to. That way those big old helmets aren't, the weight of them is not pulling on their neck. The seats are designed to where you can't, once you get in there, they're custom made. Like, I can't go jump, I'm 6'1", 285. I can't just go jump in somebody else's truck and take off. The seats are molded to the driver. So they sit there with their helmet on, and they will mold that seat to the side of their helmet. Once they're in there, those gentlemen and ladies, they can move their eyes, but they can't turn their heads.
Interesting.
They use like a Hans device. It's a multi-point like safety belt that has a one-button release. But they say that if you can put your fingers in between your chest and the Hans, then it's too loose. So that way, I've actually seen these trucks turn upside down, and the drivers never move. They don't, you'd think they'd be suspended. No, they're still stuck in their seat, just like they were when they were upright. They also, another cool thing is your track official will have a little, I relate it to like a walkie-talkie. This is what it kind of looks like. Little black walkie-talkie looking device. That's a remote ignition interrupter. So let's just say a driver goes over a big jump, and when they land hard, and they knock themselves out. Well, now you got a 12,000 pound, 1,500 horsepower machine just running. That safety track official can kill that truck from anywhere in the arena, regardless of the size of the arena. It's an electronic signal, and it will shut that engine off. And when it does, it pretty much, you know what I mean? It don't just continue rolling. It shuts it off pretty rapidly. So safety is really big in that field. When we do dirt track, kind of the same thing. We've got all kinds of safety devices, roll cages. The off-road world has gotten a lot better. Now, they still do a lot of crazy things, and I try to tell them, hey, but that's one of the cool things about getting to announce at some of these events. I've got a rapport with a lot of the facility owners or the promoters, and I will do their safety brief in the driver's meeting, and I'll let them know, hey, we're not going to do this anymore. You guys, I know you're used to doing something this way. That's awful risky. These people's insurance is on the line. Your life's on the line. Somebody else's life's on the line. We're not going to do that no more. We're going to change it up a little bit. So, and I think maybe because of my work at TxDOT, maybe I've made an impact, maybe a little bit of a safety change into the off-road world.
I mean, if that was my insurance that was relying, I would feel like you are such an asset.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
I'm curious, are there any monster truck safety practices that you wish a DOT would do? Is there something you've seen in the monster truck world that's like, wow, DOTs could really benefit from this, adding this safety practice?
Not really, just because of the difference because monster trucks, it's all done in a controlled environment where the DOTs are just open. But I'll tell you one of the first lessons that I learned, and it has paid dividends over and over again, is, and the owner of our company, he told me, he said, anytime you are on that floor and there's a monster truck running, even if you know it's parked and it's way over there and you're way over here, if a monster truck is running and you're on that floor, do not take your eyes off of it. So, and he said, even if you're walking away from it, every 2 or 3 steps, you look over your shoulder just to verify where that truck's at, because they're so powerful. They move so quick. And a lot of people don't realize when you're sitting that high up, you can't always see what's directly in front of you. And, I don't know if you remember that from Smith Systems, where we do the blind spot checks in the vehicles. Every vehicle's got blind spots, and the bigger the vehicle, the bigger the blind spot is. So those fellows and ladies that are driving these trucks, they can't see. If you're on foot and you're
all of this.
it's all the way around them, and it's massive. I mean, we're talking a few hundred or a couple hundred feet to the rear, and almost as much in front.
And they can't turn their head.
You can't look left and right. Now, one thing that I'm really glad that the monster truck industry, not everybody, but a lot of them, has taken from the real world is, now you go down to the dealership and you purchase a new car, pretty much every one of them's got a backup camera, right? Yeah. So a lot of monster truck drivers, especially the ones that I don't have any dealings with, like the pro guys, but the guys on the independent circuit, a lot of them are buying high quality backup cameras, and they're putting large monitors up to where, because you can't look over your shoulder, you don't have rear view or side mirrors, right? So they utilize a backup camera, but we also have a what we call a safety spotter. And now that's one thing with the DOT. I don't know how you guys up in Washington do, but something that's big with TxDOT employees is using a spotter anytime you're backing up. And what that spotter's doing, that man or woman is giving you hand signals on how, like if you need to turn to the left or whatever, they're standing behind you so that they watch that you don't strike anything. Well, in the monster truck world, what we do is you've usually got a rear person and you've got a front person. Well, the front person can see the driver and they're giving hand signals. Hey, back straight up, or if you need to turn all 4 of your wheels. But they're taking spots from the person behind the truck as well. So now we're using 2 spotters, and we're utilizing a great tool out of our toolbox, that backup camera, so that we're not having any kind of issues when we're backing these big monster trucks up. So it's pretty cool. It is dangerous, but there is a lot of safety tied to those things.
That's fascinating.
Yes.
And you work with Monster Jam?
Monster Truck War.
Monster Truck War.
Yep. They're home based out of Decatur, Texas.
Okay.
They've been in business since 2018. The owner of the company spent 15 years with Monster Jam. So it's kind of like if you follow baseball, you got the major leagues like the Texas Rangers and Houston Astros, and so you got the major leagues, and then they got like farm league, and like AAA, AA, single A. Well, those are like the developmental territories. So we would be like a developmental territory. As a matter of fact, there's 4 There's 4 guys that drive for, it's called Team Throttle Monster. They're another promoter.
Okay.
They drive for them, but are tied to Monster Jam. They're pros. 4 of them came from our company, come up through the ranks because our boss, he believes in doing it the old school way. You start out sweeping the shop floor, changing the oils, going on tour, and your job is to help make sure the big tires get put on. And, because we don't transport those things with those great big tires on.
Oh.
We have to put little bitty skinny tractor tires on.
Uh-huh.
So it's called tiring up and tiring down. Putting the big tires on for the event and then taking them off, then put them back in the trailer so we can transport. So they have to learn to do that. Then they learn to change the oil in the truck or in the rear ends, and they learn how to mechanic on them. And then once the owner of the company, once he thinks that you're ready, he owns some property out behind our shop, and he'll tell whoever it is, and he'll say, hey, go get your fire suit on and meet me out back. And usually he'll put you in a truck without a body on it, so it's just metal. So if you turn it over, you're not tearing anything up.
Right.
And he'll get you out there and let you drive around. And he's got a couple of jumps built. And when you're ready, you hit the jumps. But I think that's pretty cool because in today's sports entertainment world, a lot of these individuals are what we call steering wheel turners. All they do is drive. Well, our folks that come up through the ranks, they can drive. They can tell you, hey, something's wrong. And even as just an announcer, I am not a mechanic at all.
Right.
But there's certain things that I can hear. I can hear a noise when a truck lands. I say, oh, he just broke something. And usually it's, maybe in the rear end or the front end, or maybe it's a drive shaft, or you can tell when it revs up real high, transmission, but all the men and women that come up through our company, they know how to help work on it, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah. And
then we've actually got a young lady that drives for us, and she actually helps build our tracks. She gets on the heavy equipment, and she helps build the jumps, and that's another thing too. I thought it was just dirt piles, right? Well, she actually gets out with like surveying equipment, and she measures the distance and the length. And being a driver herself, she knows the degree that the jumps need to be. And then, of course, you got to take into consideration that, like where we were at this last Saturday in Sulphur Springs, Texas, they've got kind of a low ceiling, and then they've got big fans too. So all of that stuff comes into play in the safety of building the track, because the track has to be built perfectly right, or you're going to have someone hit that fan. You're going to have them hit a speaker. You're going to have them, God forbid, they hit a rafter, a steel beam. So it's a lot to it, but it's pretty cool.
I never thought about that. You have to think about how far apart the jumps are, how high, what angle.
Yes, ma'am.
From hurting anybody or anything. Like, there's probably a lot of
Yes,
engineering.
ma'am. And Miss Kaylee does a phenomenal job at it. But and then she'll climb in and the thing is, it's so funny to me because I don't know about now, but because there's a lot of women on the pro tour. But back in the day, you always thought of great big burly men driving those monster trucks. And here's Miss Kaylee, and she's 5'3", and she just rips it,
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. And then, like I said, even a lot of people, they'll see the equipment running, and then she'll stop and get out, and here's this little bitty woman. All in all, if you take everything I do and wrap it together, I've got probably the coolest job set in the world.
Questions you want to ask?
So part of what I'm really curious about is when you've talked about the monster trucks and about safety and kind of balancing, the safety that you do at work with the safety that you see in the monster truck world and just that world in general that isn't as safe. Where else do you see the worlds colliding a little bit? Like where else? I mean, do you notice, like when you're out at a grocery store, do you see more things that need a safety focus? I mean, is it just always in your head, that, this could be so much safer?
It really is. And my wife, sometimes she'll be like, look, you're not at work. And honestly and truly, what catches my attention the most is people driving and not using Smith systems. Or I'll catch, especially with backing. We across the entire world, there's so many people that get injured or have accidents while they're backing their vehicle. And I'll see somebody back, and they'll go to back up, but they're looking this way and never look this way. So most definitely, and then going out into different industries, I think one of the biggest pieces of personal protective equipment that I see that's lacking is safety glasses.
Mm.
I mean, a lot of people don't think about that. I saw a gentleman this morning using a cutting torch and had no safety glasses on. He was at a business, in Paris, and didn't have safety glasses. No, absolutely not. Yeah, let's clarify that just for the record. But yeah, and it's really, the world's a different world than it was 20, 30 years ago. And we've made great strides, but there's still a lot of work needs to be done. And I wish that every industry would get on board a little more, because again, I'm sure all of us has been affected at one level or another with the loss of someone due to whether it was someone being unsafe in a vehicle or a workplace accident or something. And one life lost is too many. But yeah, the biggest thing for me that I notice is driving, and then anytime there's PPE, the one that my wife really gets me. But it's kind of cool the way it's come around. I've got a friend back home. They do a humongous fireworks display, and the gentleman that puts it on, he actually put himself through pyrotechnic school. And the first year, man, they look like, and I'm not trying to be funny or hateful or anything, but they look like a bunch of drunk hillbillies out there with these fireworks. But now that they use all the electronic igniters, but his folks, they have fire retardant shirts and pants. They wear the fire protective gloves. They wear glasses. Some of them, if they're very close, I don't know what his rule is, but if they're in a real close proximity to the discharges, that they have face shields on, and every one of them has a hard hat on. So, I mean, he went from literally a team of folks out there in a field just in like shorts and t-shirt to now they're completely covered and use that fire protection or fire rated clothing, the gloves, the face shields, the safety glasses. So, but yeah, my wife, she gets on to me all the time. She's like, "You are not at work." I said, "Safety never stops." So
that's a good tagline.
Yes.
I once worked with a woman. She was a safety inspector, so she would go in, and it was for facilities. And so she would go into the facilities, the furnaces and the heat production buildings and the water works and everything. And she would go in and have to give people feedback on what they were doing well and what they could do to improve their safety measures. And she ran into a lot of resistance from people saying, "Look, everything's okay. Nobody's gotten hurt so far. We're just going to keep doing what we know, get out of my way," kind of thing. So have you had struggles like that? How do you have any insight you can share with people about how to help people understand the importance of safety?
I've been in one of those facilities that she would go and inspect. I spent 3 years immediately prior to coming to the department as a safety. I was a safety director at a nursing home. So that life safety that you're talking about, every single thing has to be checked. But man, one thing that a lot of people don't think about, let's look at your house. All of us have a water heater at our house. If your plumber or whoever installs it doesn't follow the safety protocols, they have what they call a scald guard. And if they don't install that scald guard, then what can happen is you can go to the thermostat on your water heater and turn it up to whatever the max setting is, well, then you're not thinking, because, hey, I paid this plumber. Then, so you go in, and I mean, think about it. When you go take a shower, you can turn it to max hot, and your body can withstand that. Well, that's because there's a scald guard in that water valve. If they bypass that one safety thing and don't put that scald guard on, or they install it improperly, now you're getting the full temperature of that hot water, and it truly will scald your skin and give you second-degree burns. And if you could imagine a small child or maybe an elderly person, that could even turn into a third-degree burn. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, in your everyday life, and sometimes that's one of the easiest ways, talking about the hot water, it's one of the easiest ways to make it real to some people. Mm-hmm. But then another thing, too, is something as simple as, my wife and I, we both love to cook. We're both in the kitchen a lot. But we taught our girls as they were growing up, when you're cooking, for one, if you're using a gas or electric stove, don't have any paper sitting around. A lot of people want to put a paper towel down and use it as a spoon rest. No, don't do that. Use an actual spoon rest.
I do that all the time.
No, never do that. Oh. And to turn the handles of your pots away, don't have them sticking out to the front. Even something as simple as turning the handles on your pots and pans is a good safety tip while working in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And one of my biggest pet peeves, and my stepdad taught me when I was young, a lot of times not everybody uses a dishwasher, which a lot of people still hand wash, but even in a dishwasher, when we put our silverware in the silverware holder, take your forks, turn them fork down, tie them down, and point down on your knives. So if you're reaching across to get that spoon for that big bowl of ice cream that we all like to get after dinner, you don't reach across and a time from a fork or a knife cut into your arm. Just little things like that a lot of people never think about.
Yeah.
It's great safety reminders to take home.
And drive your wife nuts.
And drive my wife nuts. Yeah, she's not. Why in the world is that such a big deal? I said, once you stick a knife right there and rip your arm open, you'll understand why it's important.
Yeah.
So I've got a lot of little pet peeves of mine that drives her insane.
Yeah.
She tells me, she said, I've never met anybody in the world that has as bad a OCD and as bad ADHD as you and never been diagnosed.
And yet you're doing great things. You're influencing the world of monster trucks, making it a little safer, right? Each truck at a time, and
trying to, yes, ma'am.
Yep, and helping TxDOT employees be safe.
Yes, ma'am.
So
and the thing is, my goal is like most of the supervisors at TxDOT that I've talked to. We want everybody to go home in the same shape. You may be a little dirtier, maybe a little tired, but hey, I want you to go home safe. I want to go home safe. Mm-hmm. And I don't like pain, so I don't want to do anything that's going to get me hurt.
Yeah.
So do you have any special ways, like how do you give people feedback about potentially unsafe conditions? I mean, have you found an approach that really works well and people hear it better?
That's a great question. And I feel fortunate that God kind of just gave me the personality that he did. I find it very easy to approach anybody, regardless of your title or your stature or whatever. But what I try to do, and I learned this, believe it or not, I learned something from my wife. I really did. In raising kids together, I was kind of a strict disciplinarian. And she told me, she said, you have to remember, if you're going to get on to kids and what we would call tear them down, you got to build them back up too. So what I found, and it works with everybody of any age, is what I first try to do is point out something that they're doing right. Or, hey man, you're doing a phenomenal job at this. Man, I appreciate the way that you guys are trying to follow all the safety policies. But I did notice one thing that, if you don't mind, let me give you a little bit of feedback on. And just come with that approach.
Mm-hmm.
Come with something positive. I don't ever want anybody to think, well, oh my God, here comes BK again. It's not a gotcha. It's a, hey, I'm here to help you. So I always try to start with something positive and then hit them with, hey, maybe we, and I never say, you're doing this wrong. No, hey, maybe we could do this differently. Or let me see if we could try these. Yeah. And in my experience, number one, it's way better received when you do it that way, and they're open to actually listening at that point, because you're not coming and shaking the finger and yelling at them, because that's not what it's about.
Right. Well, you as an instructor, having been a student of yours, right?
Oh, here we go.
I could say that you always have brought why we need to do something. And I'm sure that you do the same thing in safety feedback.
Yes, ma'am, I try to. Yes,
you
ma'am.
You never just say, we're going to do it this way, we're going to do it this way. You always say, let me tell you a story.
Right. and that's something too. We were talking earlier about just being a human. And I think when we can share those personal experiences, it makes you more relatable to your audience, whether it's in a classroom setting or whether it's in a field setting. If you can share and make that connection, that one-on-one connection, and y'all, hey, that's everything I do, whether I'm at TxDOT as an instructor or safety professional, whether I'm in front of 70,000 people at an event, or whether I'm at church. When we've got a phenomenal little small country church. But if I can make those connections and let them see that I'm a real person just like they are, I make mistakes just like you do, then man, it changes everything. It's a complete game changer.
Well, Mandy, you think it's time for the coin toss?
I think it is time for the coin toss. So we have a coin that we use. It's actually from Aviation World.
Okay.
Coin. If it comes up on the floor as heads, you get one question. If it comes up as tails, you get the other question. So you won't be.
Y'all get to know what the questions are first. No.
No.
The coin.
I call heads.
Up tails.
Oh. Okay.
So here's your question. The tails question is, what was your first big ambition?
My first big ambition, y'all believe it or not, I wanted to be a stand-up comic. That's what I wanted to be when I was a little bitty kid. I would see these comedians, and even now, if you look at my search history on YouTube, there's a lot of comedians. When I go to take a shower, I'll turn on YouTube and I listen to stand-up comics. So that was my first ambition.
That's kind of what you do as a monster truck announcer.
Yes,
I watched a couple of your videos, and you are pretty funny.
Yes, ma'am. And two, again, I try to use that a little bit of humor in class and even at church, because it just keeps things moving.
Yeah.
So yeah, I want to be a comic.
Which also connects, right? So that also
ma'am.
Connects people. So awesome. That's great. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's kind of cool. When I was a kid, and I don't know if I've shared this story with y'all previously or not, but when I was a kid, I hated being in front of a group. So in school, you remember when you had to do oral book reports? I hated those. And I went to a little bitty country school. We didn't have but 18 or 20 kids in the class. And I'd get up there and I'd stammer and stutter and just a nervous wreck, and the paper, you could see the paper shaking in my hands. And now I'd be in front of 140,000 people. It doesn't bother me a bit.
Yeah.
And my granddad helped me in two different ways in my career now. And rest his soul, I wish he would be here. I know he can see me now, but I wish he was here to see me, because he used to tell me, he said, boy, you need to learn to listen. You will never get paid to talk. I'm a pastor, I'm a motorsport events announcer, and I'm an instructor. And then he also said he was hard of hearing. And he and my grandmother raised my sister, and me and my sister for a long time, until we both got up into high school. And then our parents, we worked a lot of stuff out. But he was hard of hearing, so he'd always tell me, say, boy, you need to learn to speak up. Don't make me ask you to repeat yourself. So now I have, apparently everybody says this booming, projecting voice. We get people all the time that'll come up and say, man, I ain't seen you in a long time. The wife and I were in Walmart the other day and we heard you.
Okay, well, let's do transportation in the wild. I'm going to share this screen.
Can't wait to hear what you think of this, BK.
All right. What do we got?
All right, so this is a video of a live feed from the Utah Division of Wildlife Resources. It's Parley's Wildlife Overpass.
Wow.
They have built this bridge over the highway to allow wildlife to cross over.
That is awesome. Look at those deer.
Keeps them from getting in traffic.
Absolutely. That's a great idea. Oh, there goes a bear. That is awesome.
Yeah, real interesting, right? And
Yes.
I think this is a trend right now. Because there's quite a few states that have something similar. I think.
Yep. And Mandy, here's a fun fact. Texas, I'm not exactly sure where it is at, but Texas has, instead of an overpass, we have a wildlife tunnel.
Oh, really?
That goes under one of our major highways for the same purpose. And I have gotten on there and watched the live feed before, and they actually captured an ocelot, which is a small wildcat that's pretty elusive. They actually caught one of them on camera using the tunnel under the highway.
That is incredible.
Those are very cool. And I'm gonna tell you, living in the country like I do, I can definitely see the benefit of that. As a matter of fact, a couple of weeks ago, I was in Dallas in class, and my wife calls me. She's on her way home from work. It's dark, and she hit a deer. So, if we had, of course, they're not gonna put something like that way out in the country where we're at, but I see it definitely has benefits.
Right.
Definitely for roadway safety, not just for us, but for these animals as well. Very, very cool. Very cool.
And I was really encouraged by the variety of animals and how many
Yes.
are using it, right? It's not just
Absolutely.
the occasional elk or something. It was a lot of different kinds of animals.
Yeah, even the little mouse. Did you notice the little mouse that jumped up on the rock there?
That was great.
Yeah. Very cool.
Well, thank you so much.
You bet. Thank y'all. It's been my pleasure.
Yeah.
It's been really cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Well, and we may, have you back sometime. You
Absolutely.
want to share, or if there's anyone that you know that you think will be a good guest.
Okay. Absolutely.
And for anybody listening, we've got a form on our website they can fill out.
Okay.
If they have somebody.
Well, hey, I tell you, if we're gonna do call outs, we've got a gentleman in the Paris district that is an actual performing rodeo clown.
Oh.
And he has got, his granddad started an act. It was called the Yellow Rose of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
His granddad started it, I don't know, either in the 70s or the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And Cody has picked up his granddad's act, and he travels across several states. He was actually, he was at a vendor booth at the National Finals Rodeo just a week before last in Las Vegas.
Fun.
So yeah, I think he'd be a good one too. And he's a maintenance assistant supervisor in Red River County.
Okay.
Over in the Paris district.
Yeah. Awesome.
That is great.
Love to hear about his world of maintenance and transportation.
Absolutely.
And travel with the rodeo
Ask him about, because the Yellow Rose of Texas is a specially designed kind of crazy car. So again, roadway safety and all these things that a maintenance supervisor is in charge of, and then his little crazy clown car. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
His name was
Cody Gray.
Well, Cody Gray, we're gonna be reaching out. So
We're calling you out, buddy. You gotta be on here now.
Call.
and Cody's a great individual. He's actually performed at the state dump truck rodeo finals and finished second place.
Oh, that's
So yeah, you got to get Cody on.
all right.
He'll be good
for you.
Sounds great.
Awesome.
Thanks again.